Ramble.
Welcome to Curious with Josh Peck. Start the show. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Curious Podcast. My name is Josh Peck. Your name is The Listener, and this is great. Kevin, how are you? Kevin's listening. He's my producer / engineer / best friend, really. And he's the one that delivers these podcasts to you. Because without him, I would have no idea how to upload, or I don't even know what the word is, but I would have no way of delivering what I'm doing now to your ears, because I'm technologically incapable of doing many things. Like I can barely operate my iPhone, and that's fine. You know what I mean? Because I leave it to savants like Kevin to handle it. And God bless you, Kevin. Thank you for being in my life. Couldn't do it without you. You're my everything. Today, because this drops Tuesday, November 6th, today is election day for the country of the United States of America. And if you don't vote, you don't matter. So vote. It's funny, I wrote on Twitter, I was like, vote or shut up. And it did quite well. It got the retweets and the favorites. But of course, there's a couple dicks. You know, there's just a couple contrarian naysayers that feel the need to voice their very important opinions on something as innocuous as vote or shut up. It's not vote Republican or shut up or vote Democrat or shut up. It's just vote. It's just, you know, take initiative in our civic duty, you know, be a part of it. You know, spend the extra 5 minutes to fill out your ballot. You don't even have to go to some creepy middle school gym or some random senior center and stand in line in a booth. You can send that shit in from the comfort of your home while watching something on Netflix or whatever it is you do for a good time. And yet people bitch and they don't. And I just don't understand. But here's my favorite. When I get the text from people who go, oh, I should vote for this corrupt system. I should participate in this broken system of ours, or shut up. Yeah, I guess I'll shut up, Josh Peck. Also, F yourself. You know what? I hate that a lot. And I don't like that word, but I'm using it because I don't want to hear it. Your cynicism is part of the problem. Get over yourself. They all seem to be of a certain type as well, these people that write me these tweets about how our flawed system is really to blame here. And by me not participating is me making a stand. Fuck yourself. Nope. Give me a break. I don't agree with that, even in the slightest and in the least. And my suspicion is you're not doing much to move the needle as it is. So your like weird entitled pacifism is just a big jerk off for your like, it's ineffective. It does nothing. You do nothing. You don't matter. And your tweets definitely don't matter. As mine don't, but they do better than yours. My tweets do better than yours. And what that means, probably nothing. So just vote. Just do it. Do it, because it's the way our system works. And is any candidate perfect? No. And is the system slightly flawed? Probably. And is there like an inequity between, social classes and people of different ethnicities? And is there like weird fucked gerrymandering? Yes, look it up. I just did. I don't I don't mean to project like I know what a word like gerrymandering is, but I did recently look it up. And yeah, it's all that. And yet, like, we gotta get up and try it and hopefully make it happen. And like, maybe us voting for the less flawed person this time means that an even slightly less flawed person will run the time after that. And better and better and better. And over time, perhaps, maybe not for our generation, but for our kids, we'll get a pretty perfect candidate. Maybe. Probably not, because everyone's human. And even like the most perfect candidate, I'm sure they like, yeah, they did a little cocaine in, college, and that's going to get brought up and probably hurt their chances. But, the reality is that democracy moves at a fucking snail's pace. And I think it was created right? I like feel like our forefathers, like that was intentional. Like they created a system that's easily gridlocked so that like nothing too abrupt could happen. That like change takes a really, really, really long time. But like what else? What's our option? Like defect? Where are we going? Is there somewhere that's doing it better than us? In some ways, yeah, sure. There are places with better healthcare. There are places with better entitlement, or there are places where probably the quality of living is higher, the standard of living is higher. I actually know that for sure, and yet I'm not leaving it, and I don't think you are either. And I know a lot of people want to be in this country because it does offer us a certain level of opportunity that is second to none. 'Cause you can come here and do shit, and it's gonna be hard, but maybe I think perhaps at least here you have a shot that maybe it might work. In other places you might never have that opportunity. But I don't know. I'm all fired up. Listen to me. Just getting after it. Yeah. Come on now. Um, what else? I was in Sacramento this weekend with my wife's family because she had a baby shower, which was incredibly lovely. It was really nice to be in our state capital. Shout out Sacto. And I felt I was happy to get away and get out of sort of the rigmarole. Rigmarole, that's a good word. I really need to physically like separate myself and pull myself out of my comfort zone because otherwise I can never sort of shut off for a minute. So if Uncle Josh can give you sort of any helpful hints, perhaps some gentle pushing, I would say feel free to sort of get out of your comfort zone for a day, day and a half, 2 days. You know what I mean? Displace yourself, invite discomfort, get out of your normal routine and see how you adapt. And if perhaps that neuroses that seems to be on a loop is disrupted by the fact that you're unfamiliar with what's going on in this new place and there are things to discover and your attention can be directed in other ways. I don't mean to project that on you. Maybe you're different. Maybe you're all better. Maybe I'm the weirdo who you listen to, which says a lot about you, but that's how my mind works. All right. Have you had enough? Because I've had enough. I feel the need to apologize for my whole rant about voting and whatnot, but I don't think it was like very It's not partisan in any way. It's just like fucking take charge and utilize your civic responsibility. And it is a wonderful thing that we are endowed with in this country. That I'll be honest, I've not voted before, and I'm trying to do better because I'm 31 and I'm going to have a child, and I want to feel as though if there was any small semblance of control or things that I could some change that I could be a part of, that I was using everything in my power to do so. Guys, on today's show, Alex Honnold. Heard of him? Well, if you haven't, you're sleeping because Alex Honnold is an American rock climber best known for his free solo ascents of big walls. He's the only person to have free soloed El Capitan in Yosemite National Park and holds the fastest ascent record for many other things, including something that's exciting when my Wikipedia opened. Sorry, I know Alex really well, but I feel the need to really, prepare the audience for who they're about to listen to because I don't do a lot of backstory in the interviews. Fastest ascent of the Yosemite Triple Crown, which I've heard is very exciting. Anyway, guys, Alex has a new movie out called Free Solo, which is about him conquering El Capitan, El Cap, as us climbers call it, as you'll hear. We like to abbreviate things. The movie is incredible. It's in theaters now. You should see it. It is so exciting and gives such a really smart insight into sort of what climbers are like, who Alex is, and sort of this incredible undertaking of climbing a close to a like an insane I'm not going to even tell you how tall El Cap is because I'm not sure, but it's something that is incredibly tall and high and scary. Like, nah, chill. I think it's like 3,000 feet. Is it 3,000 feet? Hold on, it's 3,000 feet. I should have just stuck with my initial guess. Anyway, Alex did it without a rope. That's what free soloing is. His movie Free Solo is in theaters now. We had an incredible conversation. I'm a big fan of this human, and I'm slightly in awe of him. Go see the movie. Enjoy the podcast. Bye. Here's Alex.
To know it was live, and I was like,
right.
How are people already commenting on Joe Rogan? Like, did he like tweet something or whatever?
That's how powerful he is.
Well, totally. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. It's like they're listening.
What's Rogan's setup like? I mean, he's got like a compound, right?
Yeah, it's like an office. It's like a big, open building. He has like a gym and bathrooms and like a whole deal, like a full-on like CrossFit gym inside the building type deal.
Jesus.
I don't know if he CrossFits, but
he's a mecca.
I mean, he had a werewolf in the opening in the lobby. The lobby's like huge open space, and then and then like the actual place you're doing the podcast, there's like his producer with like tons of monitors, tons of screens around you, a lot going on, and then like shit all over the table, like weird, except like there's a fucking huge like knife in front of me, stuff like that. Where you're just like, huh.
Interesting.
Like, yeah, it's a unique scene.
He's the goal for any podcaster. He's the one.
But he's almost like beyond podcast though, because it's like he's more like an empire,
Yeah.
Or like he says the Joe Rogan Experience.
Did he try to get you to smoke weed like Elon
No,
Musk?
he's on Sober October.
Right.
He hasn't drank or smoked pot for a month.
Yeah, and he's doing all that crazy like physical challenge shit, and but I will say, and I know that he's sort of a self-proclaimed pot smoker, but with Elon Musk, it did seem slightly like a setup. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. So I did this podcast like 5 years ago or something. I was much younger and much more like, I don't want to say naive, but like had no idea what's going on. It was just like, holy shit. And it was him, his producer, and maybe like 2 other people in the room. And it was like some random fucking warehouse in the middle of nowhere. I just showed up in my van.
Uh-huh.
And they just like closed the door. There's no timepiece. It's all like sealed in with no windows. And then they freaking all smoked a ton of fucking weed. And I don't smoke, so I was like, oh no, that's cool. And then we just started podcasting, and it's like there's no source of time, so I literally had no idea how long it went. It was like 2.5 hours by the end.
Yeah.
By the end, I was like, I think I'm exhausted. And then you're like, will this ever like finish?
You're in a time warp.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, it's like you're surrounded by 5 dudes that are all super high probably, and they're just like doing their thing. You're like, whoa, this is so epic.
I had never prior to the Elon Musk of it all had seen him like with a blunt ready to go.
Well, I think that they maybe just keep that under the desk,
Right.
I don't know, because the one time I was there, everyone got super fucking stoned.
Yeah, baked.
Yeah.
I could not do this stoned, I don't think. I mean, I'm a sober guy now, but when I used to smoke pot, I was not fit for an in-depth conversation. Dude, thank you for doing this.
No, of course. Can I keep eating my thing?
Yeah, please. Okay. So currently, just to paint the scene, Alex is enjoying a delicious, it looks like a 9-grain toast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whole wheat with some jelly. I don't know what you call this, spread.
Yeah, a spread, a marmalade, perhaps. I look at you, having seen so much of what you do, and I would think like you're above room service.
Well, no. So the problem is that yesterday, so I am typically above room service, and normally I would just not eat during travel sequences, and then just sort of eat when I get there and eat the things that I want. But yesterday, I basically traveled all over, and at 3 p.m. I was like, I haven't gotten to eat yet. I was like, I literally won't be able to do the things that I'm supposed to do unless I eat at some point, because it's like my schedule is so crazy. There's nobody like builds in meals. Nobody like gets me food, and so I'm just kind of like, I need to eat. So then this morning I was like, I'm gonna get a real meal to start the day, so that if it's crazy for the rest of the day, at least I won't totally die.
Do you need a meal straight when you wake up, or can you start your day sort of fasted?
No, I often, like at home, I would typically not eat for the first several hours, just because. But basically, I just need to eat at some point, It's like, especially if I'm going to be like running around and all frantic, or actually, I don't necessarily need to, but if I want to be perky for Q&A, I'm showing up and doing events, and I don't want to just show up and be super grumpy.
Yes.
So it's like I need to do some self-care.
But having done something slightly similar to what you're doing now with like the media junkets of it all, and I mean, it's a complete and utter energy suck, and you don't want to admit it because it's like champagne problems, and yet
Yeah, totally. Champagne problems. I've never heard that, but that is a great way to put it.
like, but you going and talking to having 3 different events a day where you're talking to 100, 200 plus people, it's a lot.
Yeah.
How is it? But it's a mental thing, right? Because you're the king of physical strenuous things. But what is it?
Why is it so tiring?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the thing that I find tiring about press tour is just that I think by nature I'm sort of introverted. Like left to my own devices, I could stay in an empty room by myself for the day and feel energized from it. Feel like I feel great. So doing Q&As after films where you talk to 500 people at a time and take pictures of them and stuff, like I don't really mind it. I mean, I like the fact that everyone's psyched. I like the energy. Like everyone sees the film, they're all fired up, and you're like, oh, it's cool to be with my people to some extent. It's all climbers who are motivating. Like that's cool. But it doesn't give me energy the way doing something by myself would give me energy. It sort of like sucks the life force a little bit. So you just need like some time or some kind of adventure by yourself to sort of recharge, and it's like hard to recharge your batteries if you're just like hammering out events one after another. You know.
It's a fascinating thing, especially in the movie that they talk about early on, is that, you got into this because you were sort of this introverted kid who didn't necessarily have a lot of friends, and it was sort of the natural thing. Or maybe you had a lot.
No, that's the nice way to put it, yeah. Yeah, the total tweaker that was like,
But that's it. But in some respects, like, so now to watch you, this is sort of the antithesis of that, which is like you out there in front of millions of people, constantly exposed, constantly have to like do that inner relating thing and being, you're selling this movie. I mean, and you're doing a great job of it, but is that a challenge?
yeah. I mean, that's fair to call that a challenge.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's the best kind of challenge, and it's not that crazy because, I mean, I have been a professional climber for 10 years already, and so I've had degrees of this, never to this scale and never this magnitude. I'm already 2 months into a tour that I'm like, that has no end in sight. You're just like, whoa, that's a lot. But in the past, I mean, I did a book tour when my book was first published, and that was like a full-on month of media. But that's half of what I've already done now, But so basically, I've had little pieces that sort of trained me for it. Like I've done a tour of South America with a climbing film tour, whereas a couple weeks and you're in different cities all over South America and it's total craziness and it's like this big adventure where you're like, oh, what an opportunity! I'm like on an expedition. It feels like, but this is starting to feel beyond an expedition and more into like a lifestyle. And I'm sort of like, oh man,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a lot. That's a lot.
You might win a fucking Oscar.
I don't know. That's
Like, what?
I don't even know what that means. Like
Right.
I'm not even in show business.
I'm sure there must have been a whisper. Somebody's
Yeah, no, I mean
brought it up.
people are talking about it, but like, yeah, I mean, I just did some podcast with the Hollywood Reporter, I think, and they're like, oh, it's Oscar contender leading the whatever, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. But the thing is, I mean, I didn't make the film, so all I did was climb for 2 years and let them film, and I mean, it's a great film. They did a great job, but it's not my baby in the same way,
What do you, because the nature of what you do is so, it's, the proof is in the result, right? Like you accomplish something and no one can debate it, right? You did it, you
Yeah,
mastered
it's
it.
very clear, yeah.
It's a clear win. Whereas like what I do with artistry and whatnot, we have these
So much more subjective, yeah. Yeah, it's tough.
these fucking award shows. Like, what do you think about that in general?
Well, actually, the thing that drives me crazy about that and that drives me crazy about awards is that it doesn't necessarily reward hard work. It's so subjective that even if you do your best and try hard and give a great performance, it's not necessarily going to be rewarded,
No.
And the thing, and I don't know, I typically try not to measure success by sort of arbitrary metrics like that. I prefer to measure success sort of through effort or through the process, like, oh, I've put in all the work, I've done all this effort, like I'm growing as a climber, like I'm improving as a climber, and that's good enough. But when you measure it through awards or like weird accolade type ceremonies, that's like way too arbitrary, because then even if you're doing everything right, it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll ever be recognized, and so you just don't want to place your success in that.
Right.
I don't know, it's just a weird... Yeah, no, I mean, I've been thinking about that stuff because as the film does well, I have to remind myself that I'm like, it doesn't really matter because, I mean, and from the very beginning, I've been telling myself the important thing is that I'm actually a good rock climber, or that I try to be a good rock climber, or the best climber that I can be, because that's, yeah, that's what I care about. You know, like I want to be a good climber. It's like I definitely don't want to be a movie star. Don't care about. I don't want to say don't care about this lifestyle because it's cool. You know, I'm grateful for the opportunity and it's like fun to dabble. But I'm like, this is not my world. You know, like I
Oh,
want to be in the mountains.
and it's fucking.
But
I've had like one or two movies that like this were like just sort of like a unanimous hit that people loved, and there's no better fucking feeling, Alex. Like, I mean,
well, it's different though because it feels amazing if you've worked really hard for that and that's what you wanted. And so certainly for the filmmakers, for Chai and Jimmy, you know, I mean, they're trying to craft a great film, and so I think for them to have a good reception to their film is super gratifying because you know they've been toiling for 2-3 years to create this. But I mean, I haven't toiled at all. Like I just went climbing for
Yeah.
2 years. I like, you know, I've just done my thing, and so then it all sort of rolls out, and it's like great success, and I'm like, cool, you know, like it's not a result of my hard work, it's not a result of my effort, and so it means slightly less to me that way.
well, you're like
You
the
know?
actor in the movie because
Well, no, but it's even different than that because an actor tries, you know, like an actor is trying to make a good performance. I was literally just living. Like all I cared about was climbing El Cap.
Yes.
And trying to maintain a good relationship with my girlfriend and just trying to live the best life I can. I mean, whatever, you know, call it whatever you want, but I definitely wasn't trying to perform in any way. Like I
Right.
wasn't working for the film. I was just living my life and they just documented it.
But it is interesting because, like, as an actor for a film, you sort of enter into this thing, and maybe you have a month or two. Maybe if you're like DiCaprio, you live with something for a year because you're developing it. But like, as
Does
a,
he actually do that? Is that a thing?
I would
Is that
say-
method acting?
I think, well, some of it, like Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, I've heard the super intense.
Dude, my friend was in There Will Be Blood and had a question for him, for Daniel, like 2 months before they started filming. And he's like, so I called Daniel Day-Lewis and I said, is Daniel there? And they said, let me put him on. And all of a sudden he kind of gets on the phone. He's like, oh, hello? Like doing the voice of Daniel Plainview, like, I'll see you on set. All right, see you then. And he was like, we're 2 months out, Daniel. Like, what is happening?
That's awesome.
Like, I heard that even on set, when he would like want to go to his trailer, but he didn't know how to say it because there were no trailers in 1910, like, and they're on a movie set, he'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go away now," and he would just, you know, disappear into his trailer. Yeah,
That's pretty next level.
fucking commitment.
It's funny, I occasionally switch into Batman voice just to like play with my girlfriend. Just like play it around where you're like, oh, you know, it drives her absolutely insane, which is why it's kind of fun.
Solid.
But I can't imagine maintaining that for so long.
Dude.
You know, you do it for like a couple hours and you're like, oh, that's so funny. But
But much to your point, what I've heard about Daniel Day-Lewis and kind of what you talk about in the film is that he works that hard so that on the day when he's filming, nothing is scary.
yeah, and it feels totally normal.
It feels because he's put that work in.
Yeah.
And so,
well, he is that person now.
yeah. And like, so for him to enjoy the process of making the movie, he's got to put in that 6 months of fucking insane work.
No,
And that-
I mean, I can see that too because then it's no longer pretending for the camera. You're like living. It's deeply intense. I mean, not that I'd ever be an actor, but I could see that being my preferred process as well.
Yeah.
Just because then, yeah, no matter what happens, you're in it. You're just doing the thing.
And
It
I-
seems way more satisfying in some ways. It's like
Yeah.
you actually live different worlds.
you got to
I
be
wonder,
willing
is he
to-
married or anything? I wonder how he deals.
He
Or how
is
his family
married.
deals.
But he, I mean,
Imagine if he has little kids. You know, they're like, Daddy's really scary.
that's terrifying. I don't know if he has kids, but I know he quit. He's done with acting.
Oh, yeah? Oh.
Well, we'll see. But like in his mid 50s and 3 Oscars later, he's like, I
He's
think
won
I'm
3
good.
Oscars.
I think so.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
that's commitment, huh?
Yeah,
That's pretty legit. Last of the Mohicans is an amazing movie.
it's fucking good.
I've got the soundtrack on my phone. I listen to it all the time.
He crushes that shit.
Yeah. Every time I hear half the songs, it makes me want to like run uphill carrying a 6-foot musket. You know, just like it's like a pretty amazing film.
It's funny because I'll do like some, like I recently did an episode of Fuller House, no big deal,
Yeah,
you know, and like I'll do that and be terrified at like 3 pages of doing like sitcom shticky acting.
Yeah.
And, like just to think that Daniel Day-Lewis is fucking like learning how to refill a musket while running at a full clip for Last of the Mohicans.
Well, you know, he's a man's man.
Yeah, well that's why he is where he is.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, he's probably at home chilling now, you know?
Yeah.
You say where he is, but he's probably like, oh, I'm over it.
But I did identify that in the movie a lot, which was you talking about like all this preparation, like so that on the day it's no longer scary. Like I've
Yeah.
literally done this 100
Yeah, so
times.
there's no uncertainty, there's no doubt. Like nothing comes up that you never thought of before. You're not like, oh, I never expected that.
Right. And is that pretty uniform? Like nothing ever comes up when you attempt these huge sort of
Well, so
undertakings?
so I've never prepared for anything nearly as much as I've prepared for El Cap. So most of the big solos that I've done in my life have been more adventurous to some degree. I've maybe done a day or two of work, and then I've sort of let it simmer for a while, and then been like, all right, I'm just doing it, and then I just do it. And so there have often been slightly more surprising things where you're like, oh, geez, I didn't see that coming. But I kind of knew that with El Cap, it was such a big challenge for me. It was just such a big wall that it's just so intimidating that I didn't think that I could get away with that. And I didn't really want to. I don't know. I'm kind of tired of being scared of things. Yeah, you just don't want to like get away with things. You want to do them well. And so, yeah.
Do you uh, you sort of intimate this, but do you truly know every hold as it's coming up? Like, are you that aware of are you seeing it
So,
two steps ahead?
um, yeah, so I know all the holds that matter. I mean, they're big sections of the route that are just so easy that, or like a splitter crack, meaning like just a completely straight line, uniform sized crack. So you're just doing the same thing over and over. You just jam your hands in it. Um, So they're big sections that you don't necessarily need to know every single move. It doesn't matter if it's like left hand first or right hand first because it's just a 2-inch crack. It's really easy regardless. But all the things that matter, I definitely knew. And even on the easy pitches, so like 100 feet of pretty easy climbing, I typically would know, say, the 6 feet that are the hardest. I'd be like, oh yeah, that you grab with your left hand, that you stand up on your foot. So basically I knew all the hard parts. Have you climbed at all or anything?
No, I mean, when I was a kid, I'd go to climbing gyms
Oh,
and
cool.
stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
that's something. But
Yes.
so, have you ever bouldered in the gym? Like, do you know the difference between bouldering and like route climbing?
Yeah. So
Bouldering being like the hard, small, like without a rope. It's like, in some ways, bouldering is distilling down the difficult part of a climb. A boulder problem is just, say 6 or 8 moves and not like a big cliff. But so, basically, on all the sections of El Cap, you break it into pitches. Each pitch is sort of a rope length, so each is about 100 feet long. So it's a 30 pitch route. And then each pitch, I would know at least the key boulder problems, like the 6 or 8 moves that are the hardest.
right.
So basically, the whole mountain to me is boiled down to, 35 different boulder problems that I remember. But
And when you're sort of in that moment, like when you're beginning any great sort of climb undertaking, when does it start to suck? Like physically, like when does your body start going like, ah, fuck?
no, I mean, on that, it never did. When I got to the top, I was so amped. I was like, oh, I could do it again. I'm so fired up. And then when I got down, I was doing some interviews afterward. And I was just like, oh, I feel amazing. I feel so strong. It was so great. Like, I could just go and do another lap right now. Because I'd, like, worked so hard for it, and it's kind of, like, felt so good to actually climb it. I was kind of like, let's do it again. But then, as you see in the film, I trained that afternoon because I was sort of on this every other day program. And I was like, oh, this is the other day. I should train. And so then when I did my normal training session, basically the numbers that I were doing reflected that I was actually pretty tired. It's kind of like, oh, even though I'm so fired up and so excited, I was like, objectively, I just can't hang as long as I'm supposed to because I'm quite fatigued from having free solo at El Cap this morning. And
You're
so,
pooped.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I was pooped.
We don't get enough pooped in this day and age. It's a refreshing word.
Yeah.
Do
Is
you?
that uncommon? You don't say pooped?
Not
I use
enough.
it all the time.
I love
Maybe
it.
you don't get pooped enough.
Right.
You
Yeah.
you should have jogged here.
I gotta be pushing myself. Fuck. I do wonder when someone has excellence in a mastery of something physical. Like I interviewed Laird Hamilton.
Yeah, I saw that. That's awesome.
Ah, man, what a
Yeah,
dream.
he's the man.
And I wonder for like people like him and you, and of course you guys are like the most zen, respectful people. But I wonder if you guys look at the world or people's physical specimen, and you think like, ah, you weakling, like you
Well,
baby
no,
man.
no, definitely not that. But I do often sort of you're like, huh, like how did it get to that? Or like,
Yeah.
or just I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting because I mean I've put so much stock into my physicality, I guess, for my whole life. Like I've put so much effort into maintaining. I don't want to say maintaining my physique because it's not about like looking good, but it's about being able to perform. And that has mattered so much to me for so long. It's really hard for me to imagine other people's lives where they perhaps put no effort into their body for years. You're just like, huh, I don't know. Yes, I don't know. I mean, for me, it always comes. I always think of the human animal. It's like, at at the core, we're all just animals living on this earth. And so I feel like any human should be able to, sprint a mile if they have to, or like run, and jump and like do basic motions of an animal, or like not eat for a day, or not have, artificial stimulants or depressants or whatever, like the ups and downs that people use where it's like, oh, I get out of bed and I pound a Red Bull and then at night I take a bunch of sleeping pills to go back to sleep. And you're sort of like, whoa, that is a lot of weird stuff to get you up and down.
Heavy.
Like, yeah, I feel like humans should be able to live like an animal to some extent where they can just lay out and sleep and like eat if they want to, not eat if they don't have opportunity. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Yes, it's been interesting.
But do you think do you also look at someone because your body is so functional? And I remember I was doing this movie once and I got to train with Navy SEALs, like proper Navy SEAls, not like Hollywood Navy SEALs, but guys who literally were like, yeah, I just got off my last tour 3 months ago.
Yeah.
I was like, you are real men and I live in your shadow, sir.
Sir, yeah. You did learn something.
But what I was amazed by is that these guys were super fit, but their bodies were completely functional. Mm-hmm. Like there was no vanity.
There's nothing ornamental. Yeah, exactly. They didn't have popping muscles, but they could hike for 15 miles with a heavy bag and then lay down and not eat for the whole night. And yeah, exactly.
What do you think of that other side of things?
No, that's exactly what I'm describing. I mean, that's the human animal, where it's like if you can toil with a big load, functional fitness, if you can work.
Yeah. But what do you think of those yoked out, perfectly chiseled guys that probably can fucking lift their body weight if they're
I don't know. I mean, it still looks impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, when I watch movies and you see, the leading man rip off his shirt and just like, whoa, he is so jacked. I'm still impressed by that, but I just assume they must be really, really strong. I don't know. It's hard to know. I went to try to get a smoothie yesterday, but then there was their outlet had blown out. I don't know. But so I was at some fitness thing, and I'm here in West Hollywood, so it was like there were so many extremely yoked men sort of loitering around the entrance to this gym that I was like, oh, whoa, this is so next level.
Yes.
It's funny because climbing emphasizes, leanness and, it's all strength to weight ratio. So you don't often want to get stronger. You often just want to be lighter, basically, because, it's always a balance of whether or not it's easier to be stronger or just to be less strong and have less weight. And so you're always sort of balancing that, and you wind up relatively lean. And then you see people who just live in a gym, and you're like, wow, you definitely don't emphasize leanness. Some of these dudes' arms are bigger than my legs.
Oh my God. And it looks so good on Instagram with the right filter. Jesus.
Yeah, but then in real life, it's maybe slightly unnerving. You're just like, whoa, that's a bit much.
Every bodybuilder I've ever seen breathes incredibly unhealthily heavily.
You mean the...
Yeah. There's just and I'm like,
It's because their chest is toiling under the pound of 35-pound pecs,
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Dude.
Their lungs are trying to push against all that muscle.
It's so hectic. I was really into CrossFit for a couple of years, and then I was bench pressing, and I tore my pec.
Oh.
Off my fucking body, off my arm. And that was my last day of CrossFit.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
That's a lot of bench pressing, dude.
No shit. 220, no big deal.
Yeah,
whatever. Don't write me on Twitter, guys.
I'm like, 220,
it's not great.
I was like, how tall are you?
I'm just about 6 feet.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I'm 5'11" plus also, kind of same.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I was like, man, I can't imagine lifting 220. I think I could probably bench 140, maybe. Maybe
Strong.
Almost body weight, close to body weight probably.
But,
actually, it's hard to say. I've been doing a ton of push-ups and core stuff during this whole press tour. So I'm probably in the best pushing shape I've ever been in. But I never touch weights, so I don't know.
How many push-ups straight could you do?
I haven't been doing that. I've been trying to make them harder. I've been doing sort of timed interval stuff. So instead of just doing more reps, I've been doing push-ups way out in front of me, like Superman style, and then some way below me, like planche push-ups. In theory, if I was strong enough, your feet could come off the ground. You could just be doing just on your arms.
Oh yeah, like those Russian acrobats.
Yeah, exactly,
do
that type of stuff. So I've been trying to make them harder but fewer reps.
And then what about, have you ever done unassisted pull-ups, as many as you can do? Have you ever tested yourself?
In my life, I mean, I could probably do 30 or 35 or something.
Straight?
Yeah.
Fingertips?
Fewer on fingertips for sure.
That's an unbelievable part of the movie when you're just hanging from your fucking tips.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty standard way that climbers train. I mean, that's the only way to isolate your fingers, or to isolate your forearms, basically, to train your forearms.
And there's no steroids or like human growth hormone in the climbing community, right?
Well, no. I mean, there's no drug testing or anything, so
Sure.
in a lot of ways, I wouldn't even necessarily judge somebody who was taking testosterone or HGH or something because, it's kind of your body, and if it's gonna, if you want to, I'm like powered, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I've never even considered. I mean, I don't even do drugs like recreational drugs. I'm definitely not going to take like hardcore body affecting because a lot of that stuff. I mean, taking HGH might be great for your recovery and your performance, but then if you ever stop taking it, then your body has stopped producing it naturally, and then you sort of crash, and it's all a disaster.
Doesn't it
But
speed up cancer?
I mean, probably.
Probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's speeding everything up, I think.
Or like, and then you get like the brow. I feel like it kind of extends your brow or like gives you like long elbows or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I once saw some stats. I was reading something back, the Major League Baseball doping stuff, like back in the day.
Yeah.
I was reading this little statistical sidebar about Barry Bonds, and it was like when he entered the league in like 1986 or whatever, and then it showed his numbers for like his neck size, his cap size, his like chest, whatever. It was like all the things, like if you tailored a suit, it was like here are his numbers, and then it was like these are his numbers in like 2001 or whenever it was all going down, and like his cap size had grown by several inches. His neck was like 6 inches bigger. Like his whole body was way bigger.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I don't know anything about drug use really, but I was like, that is crazy. And like, I don't know what he was taking or if he was taking that much, but I was like, I don't think that a human body, because when he entered the league, he was already like 22 or something. So, obviously he wasn't full grown, but at the same time, you don't expect somebody's head to double in size. You're
That's terrifying.
yeah, I was like, whoa, he's like a giant.
I can't tell you how many young, I don't know a lot, but like I know there are definitely and some famous like young male actors who are on that human growth hormone and that shit works cuz like when they look incredibly chiseled like that, they are getting a little help from the needle and God bless them and I'm jealous, but it terrifies me.
Yeah, well, God bless them. I mean, they're basically just sacrificing part of their future for the present, and you're sort of like,
Yeah.
I mean, if they're willing to make that sacrifice and or make that trade-off, I'm sort of like, power to them. If they need to look great for this role, and then someday they're gonna, give that up and hopefully take better care of their body and raise a family or something, you're like, cool. If that's the choice they make, you just don't want somebody doing that thinking that that's their future,
Right.
because you're like, you're definitely sacrificing your health.
Yeah,
But
you're not there's no free rides.
yeah, totally. I mean, with climbing and with sports like gymnastics, I mean, there's that perilous line between trying to maintain strength to weight and then getting into eating disorders and like unhealthy obsession with weight and things like that. And it's interesting because, I mean, some people, I mean, so a lot of climbers will intentionally shed a lot of weight to try to send their project to try to like finish this big climb they're working on. Because basically you can only train to a certain point, and then if you're like, I can't do it, but if you were 5 pounds lighter, maybe you could, at some point you just, and so sometimes that makes sense. But the thing is, if you live your whole life that way, then you're into this really unhealthy terrain where you're really sacrificing your long-term health for the sake of your climbing performance. And I mean, it's hard to balance that stuff. Like when it's worth it for a project that you care enough about to be like, okay, I'm not going to eat for a couple days. I've never actually done that because I don't quite climb that way. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've definitely seen friends where they're like, oh, all I ate was a carrot for dinner, and you're sort of like, man,
Had-
that's yeah.
I couldn't imagine, but then how do you like? I remember watching your fuel that you did for
Yeah,
Vice,
yeah.
and in watching the doc as well. And what I'm always fascinated by are these like incredibly simple, delicious meals you seem to create in your van. And I remember in Fuel, it was like some beautiful mac and cheese, little spinach, little bell pepper in there, and I'm like, he needs those calories, but it didn't seem like you were sparing yourself from eating a pretty dense
No,
meal.
I've always eaten a fair amount for sure.
Yeah.
But partially though, that's because I've always been the type of climber that climbs really big mountains and big routes, and I'm sort of like an adventure climber. I'm sort of at like the ultra running end of the spectrum, or like a high volume of climbing. So I kind of need some heft to me.
Yeah, some reserve.
Yeah, whereas a lot of my friends who are more, elite sport climbers, for example, they're only climbing, say, a 50-foot cliff. They don't have to be able to climb big mountains on command. And so, they can afford to be really, really hungry. I often joke that, they just need somebody to carry them up to the crag, like to have somebody carry them to the cliff because the hike is too tiring. But then once they get there, they only have to climb some 50-foot overhanging cave or something. and then no matter how hungry you are, you just pull onto the rock, and you're like, ah, and you just do it, and then you're like, okay, carry me back to the car and get me some sustenance.
Right.
But
What do you think you eat most of in your life? Like your major source of nutrition?
I mean, I eat a lot of fruit. If I had to just break it down by categories, I don't know, I eat a lot of fruit. Because, I mean, every day I tend to eat an apple and a bell pepper, a banana, things like that, like every day, just as normal snacks. Bell pepper's a fruit, just in case anyone's calling me out. Yeah. But
Curious
just throwing it out
listeners,
there, along with tomatoes, things like that.
enjoy these facts. You know what I'm saying? We're out here trying to educate the world.
Yeah.
God bless Alex for coming through with the knowledge.
Yeah.
Bell pepper's a fruit.
Yeah. Dude, so is an avocado.
It's going to fuck up my day. I don't know how I'm going to recover from that. That's...
Well, because
a lot to
a
think
fruit
about.
is the seed-bearing part of the plant, whereas the vegetable is the plant itself.
Right.
So if it's bearing seeds, it's a fruit.
Wow.
I'm dropping that like with 100% confidence, but I probably feel 95. I'm sure somebody listening has a much better sense of the
Don't
difference
Google
between fruits
that.
and vegetables.
Don't just take
no,
our word
if
for
they
it.
Google it, then they'll see that's right.
Yes.
But I'm sure if someone's an actual plant biologist, they're like, well, technically,
Right.
Then yeah.
The intricacies.
Yeah, exactly.
And then what do you...
No, think about that with avocados. Avocados are fruits, and they're the big pit is the seed, and they're basically they've evolved in parallel with things like mammoths and like elephants, like big full-size animals that would eat an avocado like a normal piece of fruit and then poop the pit out. Isn't that kind of amazing to think about?
Hectic.
Yeah, think of like a mammoth just like grazing through, like eating avocados.
I just can't believe that a mammoth and I probably both love avocados the same.
Yeah.
We both appreciate how delicious they are.
I know.
Avocados good.
Elephants are very smart creatures. They obviously have good taste.
What do you have any indulgences? Because I feel like...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sweets.
What's your thing?
Like I love, cookies and just sweets. Yeah, chocolate.
And how often will you give into that?
It depends on how seriously how motivated I am. Like for the 6 months before I free soloed El Cap, I basically didn't eat dessert at all. Even when I'm off dessert, I typically eat dark chocolate, like dark, like 85% type chocolate.
Shit is bitter.
Well, I get used to it. I'm pretty into it.
Really?
But it's enough though that I feel like I'm doing something indulgent. But the ratio of fat to sugar, it's basically all fat with hardly any sugar. So it's not really a dessert in the way, it's not like binging on sweets.
Yeah.
And so, for me, that's a really healthful way to maintain my program. Because I feel like I'm, like, oh, I did something nice and I'm happy. But because if I just don't do any sweets at all or any dessert at all, then at some point I crumble and I just eat like a whole thing of cookies or something.
Yeah, it's done.
But yeah.
I'm not good. I mean, I'm a sober guy, and so I gave up drugs and alcohol, and then I've also lost 100 pounds.
100?
Yeah.
Dude.
I was
That's pretty legit.
I was a heavier human for most of my life.
Yeah, legit.
So obviously I overindulge in things to
Yeah.
keep the voices away.
Yeah.
But I remember that when I had been training for a movie, and they were like, we really need you to get fit, and because I probably walk around 15 pounds heavier than where I'd be my fittest.
Mm-hmm.
And having to completely shrink down sort of what I was eating and control it, it was emotionally very challenging.
Was it?
Yeah, because I think I live, for better or for worse, every couple of days of that like reward-based system of food. Like something like, just a nice little dessert at the end of a meal, perhaps a McFlurry on the drive home.
Oh.
I don't need to tell you my personal life, Alex.
Yeah. I was like, oh, McFlurry.
Oh, it's hectic.
No, that's bad. That's bad. Yeah.
Dude, so bad.
I think that I'm sort of aided by the fact that I also have relatively simple taste. Like I just like actual foods. Like eating a bell pepper gives me like as much joy. I eat bell peppers like an apple all the time. You just eat them. And actually, I think in the film I eat a bell pepper on top of the root. I think you can see it. I think I'm holding a bell pepper.
Oh yeah.
I think having the simple taste like that, and just because I typically live in the mountains, I'm sort of eating more groceries and fewer restaurants. Like I'm just not around drive-thrus or things like, that's just not an option. And so I think it's easier to eat relatively well and, I don't know, be a little more intentional about food choices.
And because I'm interested, when people are dedicated to a certain level of excellence and performance, as you talk about in the doc, and it was funny because watching your episode of Fuel, you were climbing with your buddy who didn't seem as though
he wasn't quite as disciplined. Yeah.
as disciplined, and he talks about you give him shit for it, and like, but I'm always fascinated, like, is it hard for you to see other people not quite holding themselves to the same standard that you hold yourself?
No, I mean, maybe. I think maybe as I've gotten older, I'm more relaxed about that kind of stuff. I mean, so it's interesting living with my girlfriend. So Sonny is way more inclined to eat dessert after every meal, and she's
Love it.
Yeah, no, I mean she's much more normal than me. You know, she's much happier. She just like does what she wants to do, and she, you know, yeah, and doesn't regret it. You know, like she can eat dessert, be like, that was delicious, I'm very happy, and then not like hate herself for it later, being like, I shouldn't have had dessert, now I need to train. You know, she's not like a tweaker. A lot of climbers that weird, myself included, have issues like that where you're like, oh, I ate this dessert, but now I'm so annoyed that, you know, I probably shouldn't have. Maybe I should train harder.
Oh,
You know, that
yeah.
kind of like weird.
Actors,
you
same
know,
way.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, we
but,
out here.
But so Sonny has a nice, healthy relationship with it, and she's also just so much better at moderation. Where she's like, I ate half a cookie, and that made me very happy, and now I'm done. Whereas I would eat all the cookies and then be like, oh, what have I done? You know, and that's why I just typically wouldn't buy cookies, so they're not around. You know, but she's really good at like having her 3 squares of chocolate and calling it good. Whereas I'm like, I will eat the whole bar and then walk over to the store and get more. You know?
Yeah, if one is
Like,
good, 1,000 is
yeah, exactly,
better.
exactly. Yeah, like I have a very unhealthy mentality with a lot of that stuff, which is I think why I've never been into drugs or alcohol, because I think it might not be great for me.
Never tried?
No, never, basically never tried.
No interest.
I had an edible gummy thing once that somebody gave me that. You know, basically I've had a drug experience and was kind of like, nah, you know, I don't really get it. And I've tried sips of most alcohols. You know, I've had like a sip of wine, a sip of whatever, and just like, yeah, I'm not into it. But I think with a lot of those things, you have to overcome the initial, because I think initially it's like not that great. You know, it's like
No,
I don't
wine
think
tastes like sweat.
yeah, exactly. Nobody tastes a beer for the first time is like, that is delicious, I want to chug, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, I think it's kind of an acquired taste, and I've just never bothered to acquire it because I'm like, that will not be good for me.
It's fascinating for me to know guys who are sober now who talk about early on, and these are guys that are like have decades of sobriety under their belt, but they talk about as kids that their first sort of foray into trying alcohol was when they were sick, and their mom would make them like an old-fashioned concoction of a little bit of whiskey, honey, and hot water.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it was like, because these guys are in their 60s, so that means that their parents were, you know, probably
Yeah,
born
yeah.
in the 20s.
Yeah.
And that was
It's like a
like,
different world, yeah.
yeah, or it was, I don't know, what would you call it? Like, you know, old school, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
But, and it was sort of like, because, you know, they probably didn't readily have cough syrup
Yeah,
or
yeah,
any of
yeah,
that
yeah, of
stuff.
course.
So they were like, here's a little numbing.
I'm just going to put my kid down.
Take the
knock
edge
him out
off.
with the whiskey.
Yeah, feel better. Hey, y'all, it's me, Josh Peck. And I know you were just listening to me, Josh Peck, but a different Josh Peck. This Josh Peck is trying to sell you something. Why? Because that's how the world works. So buckle up. Care of. What is it? Care of is a monthly subscription vitamin service that delivers completely personalized vitamin and supplement packs right to your door. And listen, you want to have like a specialized little supplement vitamin delivery that's like perfect for you? That's funny because Care of's fun online quiz asks you about your diet, health goals, and lifestyle choices and takes only 5 minutes to find out what vitamins and supplements you specifically need. 90% of people fall short of FDA recommended guidelines for at least one vitamin or nutrient. Not me. I mean, I'm perfect. Like, you know, I just wake up and I'm ready to go. But, you know, for everyone else, just kidding. Take Care of's quiz and get the vitamins you need to get back on track and reach your health goals. I got to be honest, guys. The quiz, it's easy, baby. And it's good to know that I'm getting very specific things because vitamins, supplements, it's intimidating. You know, you go into those health stores and you see it's just racks on racks on racks of all these, they got funny names, and there's something's from a plant and another thing's derived from algae, and you're like, what do I do here? And that's why Care of is so great, because it gives me a little quiz and all of a sudden I'm getting the perfect thing for me. Anyway, let's get excited. For 25% off your first month of personalized Care of vitamins, visit takecareof.com and enter Peck. That's 25% off your first month of personalized Care of vitamins. Visit takecareof.com and enter Peck. It's going to be really great. I'm excited for you. Your monthly subscription box can be easily modified at any time. Vegan and vegetarian supplement options available to match your dietary needs. Care of, baby. Do it. Takecareof.com and enter Peck. 25% off your first month. Come on. You've been injured, so have you ever had to take any opiate, like a Vicodin?
No, I've never taken painkillers.
Never touched it.
I don't think so.
So
I think I got my wisdom teeth out once, and I think they gave me something at the time. But I've never actually I've never filled a prescription or taken pills.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you just weren't interested in?
No, also I'm sort of I've always felt like pain. I mean, not to. Yeah, I've just always felt like pain is sort of a signal that something is wrong, and I want that. You know what I mean? I should be feeling pain because if something's injured, I want to know that it's injured.
Yeah.
I felt that on a smaller scale with climbing injuries. If you pull a finger, if you pull tendons in your fingers, it's not that uncommon. So it'd be easy to take a bunch of ibuprofen, tape it up really tight and climb anyway. And you'd be like, oh, it's kind of fine. But then obviously you're going to be doing more damage to yourself because you can't feel the damage that you're doing.
Yeah.
It's better to just feel the pain and then let that be a guide to not hurt yourself further.
Because in the movie you take a fair amount of ibuprofen.
Well, so I was doing that for my ankle injury, and that I was doing more for the swelling, not for the pain. Because ibuprofen, it actually does reduce swelling, and so yeah, I was mostly just trying to help it heal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really into pain meds or.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah. Also because in some ways my life is pretty peaceful in general, and so it's sort of if something hurts, just chill, Or if I'm having a hard time sleeping or something, then it's just read my book for a bit and then go to bed later. My schedule is pretty open, and I'm sort of able to do whatever I need to feel healthy. Right. And so, I don't know. I could see if you're living a life that's more dictated by a schedule, a more routine, in a city where you have to be up at certain times, you have to go to sleep at certain times, and it's all sort of more dictated by other people's whims, then I could see using the artificial uppers and downers and things to sort of help you conform to a schedule. But I'm sort of just if I'm tired, I'll just sleep later. I'll just close it up nice and dark in my room, and it's fine.
That is such a blessing.
I know, it kind of is.
It is.
I haven't really appreciated it because it's the way I've lived for 10 years. It's just normal. And that's the way a lot of climbers live because you're just sort of, climbing. If you wake up and you're like, oh, I kind of feel terrible today, you just go back to bed and you don't climb. It's not necessarily a big problem. You just climb the next day.
Oh, I feel like people live their entire life dreaming that, my schedule is similar to that, where it's if I want to, I don't sleep late, but I really don't want to be up before 8 a.m. most days.
Yeah, I hear you.
Right?
I know it's funny. Well, so scheduling this chat, it was funny because I was like, oh yeah, you can come anytime in the morning. But then I was like, man, the idea of being up at 7 seems pretty grim, doesn't it?
Yes.
And then I was like, it's funny though because for the 6 months I was preparing to free solo El Cap, I was up at, not for the full 6 months, but for the 2 months I was in Yosemite, I was getting up at 4:30 pretty much every day.
And why is that?
It's dictated by the sun because the wall shades itself until 11 a.m. Basically just when the sun tracks across the sky. The part that I was trying to climb is in the shade till 11, and you basically have to do all the climbing in the shade.
Because once the sun's
too
out,
hot.
it's unbearable.
Yeah, or it's not even necessarily unbearable, but it's just lower performance. You're suddenly getting cooked by the sun. You just can't climb as well as you can. And then it's also, if you get up early, you climb quickly in the shade, you don't need that much water, you don't get that worked, physically you feel pretty good, and then you're able to do it again the next day. Excuse me. Whereas if you get up later, you get cooked in the sun, you're slightly sunburnt, you're dehydrated, you come down, and then you're haggard, and then you basically have to rest the next day because now you're cooked. So it's always better just to get up early, even though it sucks, and do the thing, and then rest through the afternoon when it's warm, and then do it again the next day. But so my point is just that my schedule is often dictated by nature. You're like, oh, sunshade. If it's, if the cliff is in the sun in the morning, then I sleep in late, and then I go up in the afternoon when it's in the shade. But if it gets, morning shade, then you get up super early and you go climb then. It just totally depends on nature.
And then what do you, climbing El Cap took just under 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
And we don't see in the dock, but are you refueling it all throughout this?
Yeah, so I had food and water stashed in 2 places. So, which is totally normal, to stash little things for yourself here and there. And so at 1/3 height and 2/3 height, basically I had, maybe a liter of water and a couple bites of food just clipped off to the wall.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like on natural ledges where you would normally stop and belay, like at anchors where people stop to manage the rope. I just had like a little pouch, clipped off to the bolts.
And when did you put that in? The day before?
Well, so the camera guys put it in that morning because it was through places where they were going to have to commute anyway. Though, had there been no camera crew, I would have put it there 2 days before, the last time I'd rappelled down the route. But there are a lot of things like that where, had I been totally by myself, I would have, like, say, leaving my tennis shoes up on top of the route, well, pro shoes, but basically my normal hiking shoes. I need some on top of El Cap to get back down because you climb up in climbing shoes, but you can't walk in climbing shoes.
Yeah.
And you can run down barefoot. I probably actually would have just gone down barefoot, but that's like kind of a hassle. 'Cause it
That
hurts your feet.
sucks.
Yeah, you're running down 3,000 feet barefoot, and it's like hurts. But you know, so normally I would have had a whole stash of shoes on top, but because the camera crew was walking up there all the time, I was able to just put stuff into the camera bags and like let them take it up there for me. Like in a lot of ways, my whole process was made a lot easier because the camera guys were working with me.
And yet it seemed as though I just remember it's so funny and it's a testament to the filmmakers of the doc because like I watched the movie yesterday. I knew I was coming here to see you today and that you survived, Alex. And yet I'm in the fucking movie theater like incredibly uncomfortable, like, oh God, what's gonna happen? And I so didn't blame you when you initially tried and said, it's not right today. It felt like having everyone watching you added such a level of pressure and stakes. And I was like, God, like, how could he be expected to climb this thing with everyone out? Like, it seemed like you were also
Yeah,
carrying
it's like too much.
all
Yeah.
the responsibility of like, and this has got to be a great film for my friends who have invested all this time.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, totally.
Right?
I mean, yeah, to some, and that's certainly, yeah, that was certainly part of it. I mean, really though, I bailed because I just wasn't prepared. It was basically on me. I just wasn't quite ready for it. And part of the reason I was trying to climb the route sort of unprepared like that is because the season was ending. I mean, back to just nature. It was the middle of November. It was going to start raining and snowing soon, and so that would just shut down the Yosemite for the season. And so I was kind of like, I felt like I was most of the way there. I was almost prepared enough. Not quite, but it was like in 2 days it's going to snow, and so either I do it now or I don't this season. So I was like, oh, I may as well at least try.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping I would just get through the bottom. I was much better prepared on the top than I was on the bottom. So I was like, oh, if I can just kind of squeak my way through the bottom, then I'll be fine for the top. But then I got into the bottom. I was like, I'm not into this, and so then I bailed, which was definitely the right decision. But yeah, I mean, the pressure, the filmmaking, or just even living with Sonny in the van, there are a lot of things that sort of made that all feel a bit more, complicated or heavy. But I mean, ultimately, it just came down to not being prepared for it. And then when I came back in the spring, I mean, basically everything was the same. I mean, I still had, I was still in a great relationship with Sonny. The film crew was still making a movie. Like, basically all the conditions are basically the same. But it was much easier for me to deal with it all because I felt so much more comfortable with what I was trying to do because I was so much better prepared and better trained. And also my ankle injury had healed and I was able to use my ankle normally. And so, yeah, it was all just, I was just in a better position.
It makes so much sense to me too because I do like these college gigs where I'll do sort of kind of a half moderated conversation, half stand up for, sometimes 1,000 kids, right? And it's because I did this kid show growing up, and
Yeah,
so
I read about it.
and it's sort of this thing that came out of nowhere unintentionally, but I started getting booked for it, and then it grew. And it's funny because people, my wife and people I love always want to come watch, and I never allow it.
Yeah, it makes it worse, huh? It makes it harder
Way
in a lot of
worse.
ways. Yeah, because when you're talking, I mean, I noticed that with like corporate speaking events. If I'm just talking to strangers, you just go up and you give your piece, and it's easy to be confident and like, oh, whatever. But when you're talking to your friends and they already know the whole shtick and they've seen you do it before, and you feel slightly self-conscious, and then you're sort of like, oh, it's a lot harder to just perform when you know that your friends are like laughing at you in the front.
Right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I remember before I met my wife, I went on this date with a girl, and she asked me to do this like speaking engagement thing that she was sort of hosting, and it wasn't for a big crowd at all. It was like less than 100 people, but she was like, "Will you come and do some comedy, whatever?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And so like for a couple of days before, I'm like, "Wait till she fucking sees this." I'm like, she is about to be wowed. I face planted so hard. It was so sweaty and gross. It's like need to. It was just written all over me of like, God, please like me, and I'm dying to impress you. And I remember just feeling like, well, I'll just lose your number.
Yeah.
Like,
You're like, well, that's the end of that.
yeah, this was
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
and thanks for seeing me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's tough. It's tough. It's like I can't even imagine.
I was wondering this, if let's say the government subsidized climbing, and so you got like $60,000 a year to climb, and you were basically taken care of, let's say, and you could just climb, and basically all your basic needs were taken care of. Do you think you would do all this stuff like
Making a film.
yeah, making a
Yeah,
film, the
that's a really
speaking
interesting.
stuff?
Actually, I mean, it's interesting. So I've always been a big proponent of universal basic income, like UBI, which is kind of what you're describing, where basically everybody just gets like a living wage. It sort of replaces other social services, and like everyone just gets a cash payment from the government. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
UBI is like, I kind of think the way of the future, but
Because
we'll see
of
how it plays
AI
out.
too,
Yeah, and
eventually.
because automation and just the way labor is sort of disappearing. I mean, when you think driverless cars are a few years away, and you're sort of like, think how many, it's like tens of millions of people
The
employed as
trucking
drivers. Yeah, and you're
industry,
sort of
yeah.
like, that all disappears overnight. You're sort of like, yeah. So anyway, I think UBI is kind of the way of the future. But it is interesting because it means that for somebody like me, like, I don't know if I would choose sponsorship and filmmaking and all that kind of stuff. Like, if you could be guaranteed just live a simple life and just do your own thing, like, I mean, I certainly was on that path for many years and found it very satisfying.
Yeah.
Though it's funny because now, having made the film and having had this opportunity, I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily give that up because, I mean, I do feel like, I don't know, at the risk of sounding douchey, I do feel like I'm able to give something back in this way. I feel
You
like
are.
audiences get something from it, and that is, very, very satisfying. Because I mean, yeah, it's funny. Climbers always say that climbing is like a fundamentally selfish pursuit. It's like you're doing it for yourself. It doesn't matter. It's basically your experience that you care about. And the thing is, when you share it in a great film or something, you're like, at least plenty of other people are sort of getting something out of your experience that way, and it makes it feel slightly less selfish, maybe. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It would be an interesting question because I would certainly have to think about it. I mean, because I always joke that the problem with being a professional climber is that you wind up being a worse climber as a result. Because, like, basically, the more professional you are, the more corporate speaking opportunities you have, and the more film things you do, and the more sponsor events, and all of those take you away from actual rock climbing. And so you wind up being worse at what you want to be good at, and better at speaking and things.
But I think too that people are so obsessed with watching people who have committed themselves to a level of excellence.
Yeah, have you seen Hero Dreams of Sushi? You ever seen
Oh,
that?
man,
Yeah,
great.
yeah, exactly. It's a great documentary. I love that
Unreal.
movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's also a movie of like absolute commitment, but in a totally, totally different way.
Yeah. And it's complete and utter dedication. And it was sort of a revelatory moment for me when you said something to the effect of, yeah, I think you were speaking about your girlfriend and saying like her life is a little bit more about happiness and the
Yeah.
pursuit of happiness, and mine is about the pursuit of performance.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sort of thinking that idea of like reconciling that you sort of almost can't have both. Or what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's funny because I think one of the tensions at the heart of the film is whether or not you can have both, and I think that's one of the things. I think there's a line in the film I forget. I'm starting to conflate like my memories with the film with real life and everything. But when I first started dating Sonny, one of the key things that she sort of impressed upon me was this idea that I could be a good climber and have a good relationship at the same time, because I'd sort of always existed in this tension between being a good climber meant not having good or like you can only climb well if you're angstful and single, like kind of this back and forth where it's like, oh, I want to have a nice relationship, but I think I climb better if I don't, so I keep imploding my relationships for no really great reason.
Oh, join the club.
Yeah, exactly. And then I met Sonia, and she was kind of like, why would you do that? That's stupid. Just enjoy your good relationship and still be a good climber at the same time. Like, you don't have to be all angstful. Just be happy and still climb well. And I was like, huh. Like, it sort of occurred to me that, I mean, it sounds totally silly, but it was sort of the first time that I was like, oh, is that really an option? Like, can I do that? And that's basically what we've done for the last 3 years. And so, when Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that she does a good job. I mean, she personally is very happy, but also sort of performing at a high level, like doing the things that she does. She's just not angstful about it in the same way that I am, you know? Because I sort of like grinding, you know, I'm like, oh, I want to be better. I'm like annoyed that I'm not better. And she's just kind of like, oh, I'm very happy. I'm doing my best. And the thing is, she does freaking perform well in life. You know, it's like she has a business. She's climbing really well. She's like living a very, I mean, she's living a great life, but she's just happy about it. I'm sort of like, oh, that's kind of a good role model, you know?
And
But
do you worry that there's no there in the respect of like there's this insatiable thirst in you that inevitably like because I was fascinated because obviously no spoiler alert but you make it and so
yeah,
you accomplish this goal and you're delighted
yeah, yeah.
and I love seeing this joy that comes over you and yet there's a part of me that I wonder I'm like over or under that lasts about 18 hours or like 3 days.
No, I mean,
And then
I
he's
do
on to
think
the
no, I
next.
think that my solo of El Cap has stuck with me more than anything else I've ever done, for sure.
Yeah.
It's been deeply satisfying, which is really good because doing this whole film tour and having to do Q&As after the film and things like that, it's good because every time I see the end of the film, it takes me right back to that happy place. It puts me in sort of the right place to go up and like chat with people and take pictures all night and like have a good time because it is, one of the best experiences of my life. And so, I don't know. I definitely haven't had. I know exactly what you mean because I've had so many other climbing projects that I've done in my life where as soon as I finish it, I'm like, oh, but there could be something better. It could be something. And with El Cap, I definitely haven't felt that way. Sort of like, oh, I could, I don't know, I could.
Be good.
Yeah, certainly with the hard free soloing, I was like, yeah, maybe I could just be good. It's yeah,
I mean, and to the layman, I imagine as a climber, people that really are knowledgeable about climbing, there are perhaps more challenging pursuits, and yet to us, and because you talk about it in the movie, like this is the, tallest rock face, right? I mean,
yeah. So it's not the tallest in the world, but it's definitely the most iconic.
yes.
And especially for me growing up in California, it's like kind of close to home and close to my heart. But it's just, yeah, I mean, El Cap is historic. It like has all the right things. It's like this majestic wall. It's really inspiring. It's really historic. It's like with the first big wall of its kind that was climbed in the world, and so many many firsts have been done on El Cap, and so yeah, I mean, it just captures the imagination in a way that some random piece of rock in other parts of the world don't necessarily inspire the same. But
Is there anything bigger that's doable like that?
yeah, yeah. So there are plenty of bigger walls. I mean, like the Karakoram in Pakistan, like Baffin Island in Canada, Greenland. Like there are big granite walls all over. Like Alaska has big walls. A lot of them are lower quality rock though, so it might be like a 5,000 foot wall, but it's really crumbly. So you can climb it with a partner and a rope. And then a lot of them are based above glaciers and things, and so you basically have to traverse a glacier to get there, which typically is better to be roped up because there's a lot of chance of falling into crevasses on glaciers.
Fuck a crevasse.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
sounds terrible.
It's pretty scary.
Meeting your end in a glacier crevasse.
Yeah. Well, dude, the week after I soloed El Cap, I went to Alaska on this expedition with two friends of mine. But I'm like the least skilled in mountain travel. Like I don't do it that much. So they always put me out front as the crevasse bunny because basically they know how to pull somebody back out of the crevasse if someone
Sure.
goes in, but I don't really know how to do that as well. So they put me in front because like if anyone goes in, you're the one that can get pulled back out. I'm just like I find it very scary.
Oh my God, that's
I was
completely
like,
understandable.
yeah, who wants to be the crevasse bunny? It's like every step you're like, I hope this isn't the one where I go in the hole.
Oh my
Dude.
God,
It's like really scary.
that's
Or
awesome.
it can be, especially just in Alaska, they have Alaskan-sized crevasses, like huge, huge holes. So it could be something like 3 times the size of this room where you just like fall into a cavern. It's like, who knows?
I'm gonna
A freaking plane fell into a crevasse the season that we went up there.
really.
Yeah, because the planes land, they have skis on the bottom like skids, and they land on the glacier and they sort of taxi around on the glacier. And it was just like early season thawing, and the freaking plane went into a hole.
Oh Jesus!
Like, can you imagine?
That's gonna be my new email name, crevassebunny
Yeah.
at Gmail.
People will be like, ooh, sexy.
Yeah,
You're
I
like,
like
no,
that.
no, not sexy, horrifying.
Yes, you have no real idea.
Yeah.
So I'm actually glad to hear that you got a certain level of accomplishment and peace from doing something like that. I I I guess my question too is like, is free soloing, not to take anything away from the physicality, but is it a mental sport? Is that truly what separates? Because I imagine there are other climbers of similar ability to yours
Yeah, there are
that
many climbers who are much stronger physically.
And and not only that, but like could if they were with a rope climb
Yeah, much harder.
and or just climb El Cap and not slip once,
Yeah,
right? Make it
yeah,
all the way.
yeah. Not many, but yeah, there are definitely people who could do that, no problem. I mean, Tommy Caldwell is among them. You see him in the film,
Yes.
but
But he just would choose not to do it without a rope. He
yeah,
doesn't.
he's very opposed to free soloing. Um, Partially because he does just randomly fall off easy terrain, like not infrequently.
Sure.
But which is a terrible habit for solos.
Tommy,
But
get it together.
yeah,
What's
yeah,
going on
totally.
here?
Well, it's interesting though because he always climbs with the rope, so it's kind of fine to slip on easy terrain because you're like that the rope catches you. So in some ways, it's actually more efficient to be climbing so relaxed that you occasionally slip. It also means that you're saving so much energy overall that it's probably more efficient. But it just means that sometimes you fall, you know. But as a soloist, you definitely don't want that because you never want to fall.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, soloing is very much a mental sport. I mean, even for me, it was kind of like that because I was physically able to climb El Cap many years before I felt like it was even remotely possible mentally. But it's a funny combination of the two though because a lot of the mentality comes from a confidence which comes from your physical preparedness. You know, it's like it's all the two sort of lean on each other, I guess. You know, if you're more physically prepared, then it's less scary, and so then it's easier mentally.
Do you, and I'm sure you've talked a lot about this, but what does your mental state look right before the climb? Like, what does it look like?
Like, well, in this case, totally empty. I
Empty.
basically just yeah, everything was autopilot. Like I had, you know, I pre-made my bowl of breakfast. I pre-packed my backpack. My shoes are sitting there. Everything is all ready. And so I basically just roll out of bed and then I just go through the routine, which led me all the way up to the base of the route and tighten my shoes the same way I always do, tie the knot the same way I always do, you know, chalk up, start my timer, start climbing, and like that's it. You know, I didn't have to think about anything. I didn't have to make decisions. I didn't, you know, I wasn't like, I wonder if today is the day. You know, I was just like, I'd already made all those decisions and I just carried out the path, which in some ways is kind of is it's a really satisfying way to operate to some extent. Sometimes you just execute, you know, you just let your body do the thing that it's supposed to do and you just don't think about it.
Take the
It's like,
variables out.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice in some ways.
And it's also, I think, like we all have a certain level of decision fatigue.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, yeah, totally.
you know, and they talk, like, I remember they talked about Obama when he was,
Yeah, I've read that.
yeah,
It's a freaking good article.
yeah, like just a certain suit and a certain tie and his morning routine. And
No, so that's exactly with my solo. I was wearing the exact same clothes for all my preparation for the actual climb. You know, the same climbing shoes, of course, same chalk bag. Like everything is all the same. So yeah, you never have to make a decision. It's like everything is routine.
and does your mind ever wander in the middle of a free solo?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, on the easy terrain, my mind definitely wanders because you can.
To
It's
what?
well, so on the free solo of El Cap, I was thinking a lot about some of the partners I've been up there with. Actually, so earlier you were talking about the friend of mine who's worse about his diet and everything. The guy from the Munchies, from the Vice
Yeah.
piece that I did with him. So that guy James Lucas, he works for Climbing Magazine now. He's still a good friend of mine. I've known him like since I was 21. It's like 12 years we've climbed together. It's like a long time. And he had supported me up the free rider. So it had been his big goal to climb that route in a day with a rope a couple years before. And so I'd supported him on one of his attempts, and he ultimately failed on the boulder problem. He hadn't been able to do it, so we rappelled back down. And so then he supported me on one of my practice attempts, just as a nice way for him to sort of revisit his old friend. You know, like, well, both me and the route mostly. He wanted to like go up El Cap again, because he's mostly been just bouldering recently, which is sort of training small rocks. And so for him to get a ride up a 3,000-foot wall, he's like, oh, such a great way to like revisit my old friend, you know. But anyway, so you know, it was like fun to see him. But so as I was soloing all the easy terrain, I was sort of thinking about my various partners, my various friends who had sort of helped me throughout the season. Like I had this particular experience with James. There was like one part on the route, like one move on this one section of rock, like the down climb to the hollow flake, where I like, for whatever reason, I just thought it was really hard. It was like this really thin. I couldn't get my fingers into the crack, and I was like, this is really tricky. And he was like, why don't you use the big holdout to the left? And I was like, what are you talking about? There's no holdout to the left. I was like, it's this really thin crack. And I was like, I think you're misremembering. And he was like, no, there's this big thing out to the left. And I was like, no. And then the next time I was up there, I freaking look over, and sure enough, there's this huge holdout to the left that was like kind of tucked under a little overlap of rock. I had just never seen it. But so it took this section of climbing that was extremely thin and really slippery for me. Instead of even having to climb it, I could just skip the whole thing, just grab the big hold, hang off that, lower my feet. It's a down climb. It's kind of this weird maneuver.
Right.
But basically, I was like, oh, I just eliminated one of the most difficult, one of the most sketchy parts of the route for me because my friend told me about this hold that I had just somehow never seen. And I was like, it was a good example that, I mean, that's why you talk to your friends about things, because I was like, oh, that's so helpful.
Oh my
Because
God.
I'd already put a whole day up there. I'd put a day hanging on my rope trying this section of moves over and over and just had literally never seen this thing that was like 4 feet to the left of me. Just because I don't know, I don't know how I never saw it, but I was like, thank goodness I talked to my friends about it because, it's super helpful. And it like fully just eliminated one of the big question marks on the route for me. I was like, that's great. And so over the course of the year and a half ahead of my free solo, I had a bunch of experiences like that where it was sort of one by one, I checked off certain parts of the route. Where I was like, oh, I talked to somebody, or I found this new way, or I like found a way of doing this move that feels more secure. I basically eliminated things one by one until I was like, okay, I can definitely do this. But so then on the day of the climb, I was sort of, revisiting some of those things while I was in the easy parts, and I was able to sort of relax and enjoy. I'd be like thinking about my friends that I was up there with and like enjoying the position, being like, what a beautiful place. I'm so happy. It's a really powerful experience for me. So it's easy to just let your mind be like, I'm so happy. This is so amazing. Yeah, it's cool.
How quickly does the wall call in the respect of like how many days can you give yourself off before you're like, I need to find a climbing surface?
I didn't climb yesterday, and I was like jonesing, but especially because it was such
Just
a difficult
one day.
day. Well, no, normally I can do more than that, but I think because the couple days before hadn't been super hard sessions, so I wasn't really tired. So the day of not climbing yesterday, I didn't need a rest day, and so it kind of felt like a wasted day in a way. And I'm not totally sure if I'll be able to climb today. I think I'll be able to after some flights and some things, and so hopefully I'll get in, and then hopefully I can get tired enough that it, basically I just want to feel pooped. I
Right.
just want to feel like I went hard.
Do you think that if you didn't have this outlet that you would be full of like, I mean, because physically, but I would imagine it's the mental part of it, right? It's that mental wash. It's that all those endorphins, getting rid of all those. I'm projecting, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
for me, so much of that like the workout is to get rid of the neuroses or like the negative self-talk or like just to calm down.
Yeah, so I don't think I have quite as much of that as maybe average. I don't really know. Um, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm sure the endorphins. I mean, basically, physiologically, anytime somebody exercises, all kinds of positive things happen in their body, and obviously, I experience that the same as anybody else. I'm a slave to the drug of exercise, but or yeah, you could say I'm an addict, or I mean, because when people talk about adrenaline junkie and stuff, like I definitely don't consider myself an adrenaline junkie, and climbing in general is a much more slow and thoughtful activity. But I mean, it is probably fair to say that there are plenty of chemical reactions going on inside my body when I climb or when I exercise, and I do love that feeling. So, that's
Yeah,
something.
I don't think you come across as an adrenaline junkie in that way. I think if it was chess, it would have been chess, or if it was any sort of great pursuit of something to master.
That's what I've always thought. And so I think that had I not become a climber or something, I mean, I was studying engineering. I could have seen myself getting into like environmental engineering and trying to do, like I could definitely see myself very committed to mental puzzles, like trying to solve problems for the world. And I think that if I had taken that path where I lived in a city and I was just trying to, design better renewable energy systems or something,
Yeah.
I could see myself being the type of engineer that lives off like Soylent or something, like I'm drinking 500 calories of beverage a day and just sitting at my computer working for like 16 hours at a stretch, because I mean, in some ways I'm just fundamentally kind of a tweaker, I'm like, I really dive into things when I'm into them. And I don't know, I think that, it could have been anything really.
And do you think
But I just freaking love climbing. So like, obviously that sort of chose itself.
right?
But
And what's fascinating in the doc, I know you have to go soon,
no,
so
it's,
I'll wrap it up.
you're good.
Like I was fascinated by you seem to have sort of this natural sort of stoic um, sort of disposition to you. And what's really interesting is watching sort of the difference between your mom and your girlfriend talk about you soloing. And I don't know if it's just because your mom has lived with it longer, because
No, my girlfriend definitely has had a much more intimate look at soloing than my mom has.
well, she seems to have a similar resolve to you, which is very stoic, for lack of a better word. Like, this is what makes him happiest, and I would never, think to get in the way of that in any respect. And then I totally understand your girlfriend's perspective, which is like, why does he have to do this sometimes? Like, this is.
Yeah, I mean, she says that, but then at the same time, she's surprisingly supportive of it. She's sort
Sure.
of like, not supportive because she's not encouraging me, but she's also like, if this is what you need, then I can get behind that. But I really don't understand why you need that. And I'm like, I understand that, you know. I mean, there's certainly things that she does in life where I'm like, why would you want to do that? Like, that's stupid. But I'm like, if you want to, you know, then power to it.
Yeah.
Like, I'll support that. Yeah,
But
I
it
don't know.
seems like you have a certain level, and I'm envious of it. Like that you do have a certain level of blinders on, which is inherent in anyone who's totally great at something they do. Where I don't think you contemplate sort of like there's not a lot of contemplation. It's a very focused energy of like, yeah, like I don't think about the ups or the downs of it that much. It's just this is what I do. It brings me joy. I'm great at it.
Yeah, well, it's maybe not so much whether or not I think about the ups and the downs. It's just that it is something that I love to do. And day to day, I mean, so people often ask me like, oh, when did you decide to be a professional climber? When did you know that you were going to devote your life to climbing? And I always say that I never really decided. It's just that day in and day out, I would always rather go climbing than do something else. And so I think that it's not that I'm like blinded to the rest of life. It's that like I just want to go climb more than anything else. And then combine that with the general desire to improve at what I do, or like to feel like I'm getting better, which means like constantly having to push your comfort zone to some extent and constantly trying a little bit harder. You know, when you combine the deep love of climbing with this deep love of improving, then it's like eventually you get to be pretty freaking good, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. I mean, in some ways, I don't know if that requires more introspection or like, you know, it doesn't require blinders or any kind of like big cosmic plan. It's just like I freaking love going climbing and I want to be good at it. And so you put in a lot of work and, you know, it sort of happens eventually.
Yeah, it's sort of just a clarity, a vision.
Well, but it's not even a vision is what I'm saying. Like,
Got
because
it.
I never had like a vision of the end point because there's no, you know, I never had a plan for climbing. It's like you just wake up and you're like, I want to climb.
Yeah.
And not only do I want to climb, but I want to climb preferably on something new to me or something like slightly different or something challenging, something slightly bigger. And so when you just work that out over 20 years, you wind up doing a lot of freaking climbing. You know, it's just a lot.
I asked this to,
I mean, in a lot of ways, it is like the mindset of an addict or something, you know, always needing something slightly more or slightly different, but it's like just channeled into a relatively healthy way because it's like, you know, you're trying to physically improve yourself, I guess.
I asked Laird Hamilton this, and I'm fascinated, and I'm excited to ask you this as well. What do you think is like the most insidious thing that keeps people back, or is like a trait in that you have observed in other people where you're like, God, that is just something toxic to your being, or is what keeps people from achieving similar goals?
So I can't really say about other people, but I mean, I think that for me personally, the biggest thing holding me back is sort of self-doubt. And I know that, you know, anybody seen the film would be like, oh, that seems crazy. But so, I mean, for example, last night, I had sort of a rough day of travel. I like landed on this weird airline thing. Anyway, there were like some cookies sitting out. And so I like took these two cookies. It's like, oh, maybe I'll eat these later or whatever. But I basically hadn't eaten dinner. And then I like did this event, showed up back at the room super late. I was like, I haven't done anything. I hadn't eaten any healthy meals during the day. I basically hadn't eaten for the whole day. I hadn't exercised for the whole day. I felt terrible. And I've been trying to do a daily core routine where I basically do like a workout in my hotel rooms. Like, and I've done it every day for like 2.5 months basically. And I'm the most fit like opposition and core wise that I've probably ever been, which is sort of the interesting byproduct of this whole tour. But I basically got back to the room, ate my cookies, and it was kind of like, well, there's my dinner, and I was sort of like, oh, I probably shouldn't have eaten cookies for dinner. Like, what's wrong with me? Like, that's terrible. And then it was kind of like, do I even want to? I had like kind of a mild headache from like weird motion sickness from being stuck in a cab for like 4 hours driving back and forth across LA and San Francisco in the same day, and I was like totally haggard feeling. I was like, I don't really want to do my workout. And then I was also like, my last two gym sessions hadn't been amazing. You know, like I didn't feel that strong, and so it's easy to be like, oh, my whole program is kind of crumbling. You know, and when I look forward to the next month, I'm sort of like, I'm just going to be doing more traveling. It's going to be even harder to stay fit. It's easy to just get into a certain hopelessness of like, there's no real point in working out because it's like, it's not going to do anything anyway. Because my next month, it's like, I'm not going to have the opportunity to train in the gym hard enough. It's like, there's no point in working super hard if I'm not going to be able to like use it to actually be a good climber. And so I was like, oh, and you know, I'm on a terrible diet. I'm like not training well. I'm like, it's all going downhill.
Yeah,
and so,
snowballs.
yeah, it would be really easy to be like, my life sucks. I'm going to bed. Screw it. And so, and I think that for me, that's the biggest challenge is the easy to sort of get defeatist or the, you know, just to let it, or to be then be like, well, I suck anyway. Why don't I just eat this chocolate bar from the mini bar next to me?
Oh, yeah.
And then like watch a movie or something, do something mindless just to like make me feel better. And then the next day be like, oh, now I feel terrible. I don't know. Ultimately, I wound up doing my core last night, doing my stretching routine, doing the whole deal, and then just going to bed. And I was kind of like, well,
At least that.
yeah, I was like, well, at least I like did something. And actually, I felt surprisingly strong doing the core routine. So I was kind of like, well, at least there's that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, I think that it's really easy to get sort of defeatist or, like, oh, what's the point? Like, who cares anyway? Or like, I suck anyway. There's no, just feeling like you're not able to affect change in your own life anyways. So
Right.
it's like, yeah, so why bother putting in the effort? Like some things just seem insurmountable, or like if you don't have control over your life in certain ways, I think it's easy to just be, yeah, I don't know, just give up on it. I don't know.
Yeah, and then it just
But
compounds.
I mean, I'm sure you've had very similar experiences.
Oh,
If you start, yeah, it seems like, yeah.
Okay, last two questions.
Yeah, I think we're fine. No worries.
Okay, what I know that being in a relationship has opened my eyes to things that have been looking at the world in ways that I never could
How
have
long have you
imagined.
been with your wife?
7 years.
That's pretty freaking long.
Longest, yeah. We've been married. We got the kid on the way, so we're doing
Yeah,
it. We're
yeah.
adulting.
You're deeply in. Yeah.
What has been the most revealing thing of being in this relationship over the last 3 years? What can you pinpoint like one thing that you've learned that's been the most impactful?
Honestly, I don't know.
I could share mine if
Oh
you
yeah,
want.
let's hear yours. Yeah. What do you think? I need prompting.
Well, it was very interesting because obviously, they say like opposites attract. And so like I come from never knew my pop, single mom, only child in New York.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And a very specific sort of upbringing and an incredible mom, but
But that's a lot. Yeah.
yeah,
And
challenging.
are you Jewish?
Yeah.
Your mom, yeah, Jewish mom, single mom. I was like, I feel like that's all pretty mega.
li-
Like you got a lot of momming.
Totally.
Yeah.
Lioness and
Yeah.
fabulous in all the ways and also like
Yeah.
didn't let me get away with
Fierce.
anything.
Yeah.
And and my wife comes from Sacramento.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's from Sac.
From
Do you know
Sac.
where she went to high school? I'm just
She
curious.
she went to high school in LA, but her
Oh,
whole
lame.
family went to like she went to St. Ignatius
Huh.
and her uncle is a teacher at Jesuit.
Oh yeah, classic.
Yeah, dude.
All my cousins went there.
She's from the fabulous 40s.
Oh yeah, classic, of course.
Yeah. And so big salt of the earth people, but she comes from like an Irish Catholic, one of four, beautiful, very healthy, classic family. So what was revealing in that when we would fight,
Yeah, that is definitely opposites attract.
Totally.
Very different worlds.
and when we would fight early on, when you grow up without one of your parents being there, there's an idea I think that's planted in you that like if they can leave, anyone can leave. Like nothing is forever. So we would get in these fights, and my coping mechanism was cut and run, and I'd be like, "Well, this was great, thanks. Like, nice meeting you. I guess we're done here."
Yeah.
And her coming from such a healthy family, she'd be like, "Oh no, like family doesn't leave. Like we're allowed to fight and we're allowed to have
Dude,
this."
it's funny you say that. Like, I've had almost the exact same experience. Because
Really?
Sonny also comes from a very healthy family that's very good at talking about their feelings and emotional expression, and my family definitely less so. And certainly my relationship history is much more like, oh, if you have a big argument, then like things implode, you just peace out, you go climb and you live in your van, like whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was definitely much more on the like, oh, if you have a fight, then it probably means that things are like done. And Sonny was like, no, this is totally normal. The next day, you just like make up and you talk it through, everything's fine. And like, she's like, this is all part of a healthy relationship. And I was like, huh, really?
Yeah.
Because like, certainly if she would ever be upset with me about anything, if she would like yell at me about something, she doesn't really yell, but what I call like her, being upset with me for something, I would take that as like, oh, well, I failed. And so she's like not in the relationship. And like, obviously like I've ruined this. I should just go back to my thing. And the reality is like, that's definitely not the case. She's just like expressing like, this is what I need for you to like make me happy. And then I'm like, oh, well, if I do the things that she needs, then it's all perfect and everybody's happy. It's like, yeah,
Right.
It's interesting. Basically, being with people who are really emotionally intelligent and sort of healthy is sort of a gift.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, last question, and I asked this of everyone on the pod. What would you say are your one or two Alex Honnold commandments? Like things that you would want to impress upon someone if you were only going to give them one or two things that you think are ultra important to you?
Man, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Give me one of your commandments.
Oh man, I guess I would say let go of the old story, that be more yourself. Like that's a big thing that I've had to sort of reconcile as I've gotten older. But yeah, I mean, being more, yeah, just
I would
being,
say be intentional about your choices. Like, choose things. Don't just like get caught in the current of life and like wind up drifting wherever. Like make a choice and execute it.
yes.
But I mean, I think that, yeah, I mean, that's been such a big part of my life is like I've chosen the life that I want to lead. And, and that has meant living in a car for many years and like not having a bathroom, not having showers, like whatever. But that's all fine because that's a choice. Like I want to, I've maximized or like sort of optimized certain parts of my life where it's like I want to be able to climb all the time. I want to be in beautiful places where there are rocks, and so I'll do whatever it takes to put myself in that position. And I don't know, I feel like it's just easy to just let life carry you on without choosing like this is what I want from it, this is what I want to do. And there's just so many things where people are like, oh, I couldn't do that, and you're kind of like, well, why couldn't you do that? Like, who cares? I mean, you can do whatever you want, like you're a free wild animal, like do your thing. It's like, yeah, you don't have to be conditioned into accepting whatever life you currently have. Like, make choices.
Yeah.
But I mean, I also think that way though about like food choices and like lifestyle in general. Like choose the things that are important. Like, I mean, obviously I'm not perfect about it, but like dietarily, I try to, make good choices.
Right.
Which is why I've been vegetarian for a long time. And sort of like trying to minimize my impact on the earth through diet when I can. And you're just like, oh, I wouldn't. I certainly never choose to eat fast food. Like, if you think about going through like, or even just choosing the corporations that you choose to support. Like, yeah, I mean, voting with your dollars, if you want to call it that, or whatever else. Like, just but be, making choices in life.
Yeah.
I feel like there are a lot of things in the world that would not exist if people were more intentional, because there's so many just vile corporations that nobody necessarily would intentionally support, but it's just sort of the cheapest thing at the grocery store. So people are like, oh, sweet, like, that's cool. But if they actually knew the business practices or anything, they would never be like, I want that company to succeed, because they'd be like, that company is a freaking abomination. But, people just aren't intentional. I don't know. Live with intention.
I'm not eating McFlurries anymore after this conversation. You convinced me.
Well, I am. That is actually exactly what I was thinking about, because I was like, oh, McDonald's is like a horrendous corporation. McFlurries are horrendous for you. Like everything about it. I'm sort of like, oh, just go eat some like nice, fair trade chocolate or something. It's like just as much pleasure, but without supporting some of the worst corporations on earth,
Dude.
Just putting that out there.
Yes, I love it. Alex Honnold for president. Boom. Yeah. Dude, thank you so much.
No, a pleasure.
This was awesome. Nice man, thank you. All right, that was it. That was Alex Honnold. Go see his movie, Free Solo. Talk to you guys later. Love you. Thank you for listening. Tweet me at It's Josh Peck if you like the pod, and if you don't, let me know that too. Okay, love you. Bye.